the next talk is investigating foreign tech from online retailers, which will be presented by Michael Portera. He is the Vice President of Cyber Solutions at Sequoia Inc. Michael has presented at major conferences and has contributed on a lot of open source projects. And in this talk, we will track the supply chain of a foreign smartwatch on Amazon using various OSINT techniques. Sounds interesting. Please give it up for Michael.
Okay, so analyzing foreign tech from online retailers. Honestly, this should have been just called buying cheap stuff off of Amazon and breaking it, but I didn't want to offend anybody, so a little bit of mystery there. So I am the VP of, I'm Michael Portera, I'm the VP of Cyber Solutions at Sequoia. That is not the venture capital firm. We are a mid-sized defense contractor out of DC. Like I said, though, I'm located in Huntsville, Alabama, though. Real quick work summary, worked 8 years at Big Four Consulting, worked at a company called Millennium, did some really fun red teaming on a Department of Defense red team. I started a company in 2020, literally a month before COVID hit. My wife was also pregnant with her second child and I was building a house. Not a good time to start a company, but I did it. It worked out. It was acquired in 2023. Just to give you a little bit of background though, I would not recommend going into business with family. Bad idea. But selling was my way of getting out. Everything worked fine. It was a great company. So anyways, here we are. Creds, if you care about those, and just some things I enjoy, a little bit about me. So what are we going to talk about today, and what are you going to get out of this? So we're going to do some background on the Amazon Chinese seller issue, an issue in quotes. We'll talk more about that later. Quick story on why I'm talking about this. A friend of mine sent me a message one day and said, hey, I bought this really cool smartwatch off of Amazon. Do you think it's safe to use? A couple of Google searches are like, whoa, let's go ahead and send that thing back, and we'll see why. We'll show that OSINT and what we did, and then we'll start tracking that down the supply chain and definitely go down the rabbit hole on that. We'll do a little bit of hardware analysis, and we'll do some software analysis as well. So let's go ahead and just take a look at the Chinese sellers on Amazon. So estimated around, and this data is actually a few months old. It's probably much more than that now, but really the big thing here is the Chinese sellers represent 50% of the top 10,000 sellers. So that's an enormous amount when you think about how large of a company Amazon is. One thing you'll notice on there is all of these companies a lot of times have random letters as brand names. I don't know if you know why that is or not, but I actually just discovered this not too long ago. So Amazon back in 2015 said, hey, we've got some serious issues with quality products getting on our website, and people are complaining about it, so we're going to make everybody have a trademark. So the Chinese said, oh, okay, all right, we can work with that. So what did they do? They submitted to the US Patent Office. They just flooded it with all this nonsense, because the nonsense is what got by, because if you had a normal brand name, that was more likely to get flagged and have to go through a bunch of due diligence and nonsense. But if you just submit a horrible random string of letters, it's going to get by pretty much auto stamp. Yeah, you're good to go. So, anyways, that's why you get all of those brands and companies out there that are on Amazon. So, there's a lot of abuse on Amazon. You guys have all seen this. There's fake reviews. There's counterfeit products. There's fake IP claims that put things into just delays and all kinds of stuff. Like there's just a lot of stuff going on here. But guess what? Amazon's a victim of its own success, and guess what? We're part of the problem too, because we keep buying it. So there's that. I did put tariffs on here. We won't get political at all, whether you think they're good or bad. But it is interesting to see how the tariffs are going to impact trade, especially when we start looking at electronics and whatnot. I know that's a developing story every day, but it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. So, okay, yeah, I buy cheap stuff off of Amazon, so what? Well, you may be buying flammable PJs for your kids. Don't do that, very bad. You may be buying cups that have a lot of lead content in them. Yeah, very bad. I did not know what an electric immersion heater was. Didn't know you stuck things in electric stuff in water like that, but apparently that's a thing and catches fire. Smoke detectors that don't detect anything. And you've got power banks that are melting and harming people. You guys may remember, now it's not to say, there are quality products like Samsung had their phones way back in the day that would catch fire and melt as well. That's bad. There are some things that slip by, but if you ever get bored, go on the Consumer Product Safety Commission website. It's actually very fascinating about what goes on there and the things that are being flagged. One of the problems is whenever a company's flagged though, is most of the time they don't care, because what are they going to do? They're just going to white label or spin up another brand and be able to post on Amazon again. So it's just a problem that really is going to continue. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can back out and get my notes on here. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything, and it did not like that. Here we go. Presentation better. Okay. So that's a little background on the Amazon Chinese issue. So what are we going to look at today? So as I mentioned, I had a friend of mine say, hey, this watch looks great, I want to buy it. And I mean, okay, yeah, let's look. It's only 30 bucks. That's not a ton of money for most folks. It's got a lot of reviews. Looks pretty snazzy, looks pretty awesome. Looks like, it also does look like a lot of the other similar products that we'll touch on in a second, but this one seems to be cheaper. So, you can't blame somebody for buying this. It's an attractive watch. It's a great price point. Then you got this too. You got influence and influence, right? You got people pushing products and saying, oh, this is great. Of course, they were sent it for free and whatnot, but they're going to push it. So, it's hard to blame people for wanting to buy things. I was going to show an SNL video. SNL hasn't been all that great in the past 20 years, but they didn't really had a really funny video about buying stuff on TV, but because the internet's so crappy here, we're going to skip it. But it is a really funny skit, though, for a fake product called Shimu, which is making fun of TV. Okay, so let's start doing some OSINT. Okay, so the brand we got, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher this because I don't speak Chinese, but I'm going to say Ruxing Eggs. It may be Rouging Eggs. I don't know. I'm from Alabama, so we're just going to go with Ruxing Eggs, okay? So the brand was trademarked by and I'm going to butcher these names. I apologize to any Chinese nationals in here. I really am sorry. But again, Alabama boy, I'm going to butcher some things. So Wing Xingding was the brand, or the person who trademarked it. You got an address that points to a soccer field in China. You've got an attorney of record named Zhenin Liu. I'm going to call him Anson. It's like the American version. And he's got an address at this PO box here in Los Angeles. So already, that's kind of looking sketchy, right? But let's look at the company. That was the brand. So what about the actual company? So the company's name is Sequoia Pen. They claim to be the only authorized seller of this luxurious brand. It translates to think carefully, which the irony of that is unbelievable. We get an email. Okay, so here we go. Now we get some pivot points. So we got an email at vip@vipasg.com. We get a WhatsApp number. Okay, we're actually getting some info now. We can do some more OSINT, build that mind map and everything else. We get a little bit more detailed seller information. I'm not even going to attempt that, but you can see what that is. And if you go and you look at a lot of these cheap Chinese products, you're going to see very much the same thing. So let's see. And a lot of them are only off by a word or two. So let's pivot on the email. So we start doing some OSINT on the email. We eventually come to a YouTube channel called Hisake Fit. It also talks about a Dr. Schmidt. I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think there's a Dr. Schmidt, but he made this app. He's involved. He's a doctor, so let's believe it. They have their own YouTube channel, and it's got all the manuals for how to do things. We see that was abandoned on 8/23, August 23rd, 2023. We also see that somehow we're located in Italy. So we're all over the place here already. So at this point, of course, I was very confused. Let's keep going. Now if we take that email and we start doing some more pivoting, we enter another company called Fosben. They've got lots of products on Amazon. They've got a trademark lawyer from the U.S. Patent Office, and guess who he is? He's our boy. That's right, Anson. But we do have a different business address, though, than Ruxing Eggs. So now we've got at least two brands that we're looking at. So again, using our OSINT techniques, being the good practitioners we are, we're going to start doing reverse image searches. And if you notice some things, these brands look very similar. You also notice that the watches look nearly identical. They're also apparently trying to get a hold of Mona. Mona's trying to call them. So look at the thumbnails. So these seem to be probably the same thing, right? That's what it's looking like. So let's see what we've got in just a short amount of time on a single watch from Amazon. We've got company names. We've got a WhatsApp number that's located in the UK. We've also got the fact that they say they're located in Italy. We've got some emails that just don't lead to anywhere. We got Dr. Schmidt, whoever that is. And we've got some apps that are going to run our software. Well, that is the software, sorry. So we've got some details here, but still kind of unsure on the whole picture just yet. So what better way to do research than just buy one? So we did buy one, we'll admit that, because we wanted to dig a little bit deeper on some of the details. Of course, we wanted to tear this thing apart. So let's look at the box. First thing we wanted to see, because we could not find this using OSINT. We even tried, and of course this was a couple months ago when we really did a deep dive on this. So at the time, Grok couldn't find it, ChatGPT couldn't find it. Trying to find the FCC ID, trying to link this back, so yay job security for now. But we did buy it, and we started looking at some of the details. So we did find an FCC ID. We'll talk about that more on the next slide. We found a manufacturer. So this is good stuff. And we found that the email is VIP, so apparently that is somehow related. Found some European import groups, and you can get some shipping data. I am by no means saying that this is actually linked to that shipment of watches, but if you're interested to see where some things are being shipped, Panjiva, which was bought a couple of years ago, has some good info, and Import Yeti is free. That's a fantastic resource if you want to start doing some OSINT with shipping data. So, and in hindsight, we did go back and start doing some more Google searches, and we did find a little bit of info, but this was the easiest way to do it. And spoiler alert, you can't buy this anymore on Amazon. Go figure, right? So let's look at the FCC report. FCC report's got some really, really good stuff. I don't know if any of you guys are into Matt Brown or not. Fantastic resource for doing hardware analysis. I know that he does a lot of this stuff when he's looking at what would make a good target for doing some reverse engineering. So anything emitting in the US, anything emitting an RF signal above 9 kilohertz should have an FCC certification. So what's an FCC report going to give us? It's actually going to give us some really good details. We're going to get some pictures of the circuit board. We can get things like a confidentiality request which says, hey, I don't have to disclose all of these details or schematics. You get more names, so we get people who are actually importing this into the US. We get all kind of good stuff. I put this last note here about the lack of transparency and whatnot. It was really funny because the FCC sent a follow-up to the German European group saying, hey, I don't think this, are you sure this address is here? And the response was just, yeah, we Googled it. If you go to Google, it's all blurred out. So it's like, whatever. That's like, yeah, but the FCC accepted it, so that's why I put that there. But go figure. So here's some examples of things you get on there if you go to FCC. So in particular, one thing I want to call is the different model numbers. So when I mentioned earlier about, okay, so the G35 model is not available. Okay, well now we'll go to the K35 model. They'll just keep reusing these things in different model numbers. But you even see there, it's all the same hardware. It's going to be running the same software. It's pretty much the same product. But you get other good things. You get internal photos. Like I said, Matt Brown does those kind of things. He's looking for good targets. You get all kind of good info for that. So let's take a quick summary because we could really spend all day doing OSINT on this, but let's get to the bottom line here. So what's happening? We got our products being white labeled, right? Pretty common practice, and I mean it is what it is, right? Our boy's doing some serious business. He ended up having 1,600 trademarks, probably a lot more since then. So. He's probably working with Chinese to be able to do that and be able to do those efficiently. So, I mean, hey, it seems like a pretty decent business model. As I mentioned, I said it a couple of times now, like this is just a thing that's going to happen and happen again and again, how they can move things. And honestly, it's difficult to track down, and I think honestly it's on purpose. Again, I already disclosed that I work for a medium-sized defense contractor, and we see things, and we believe these things are done for reasons, and I'll leave it at that. So let's take a look at some technical analysis real quick and show some OSINT on that too. So how does this thing work? Real simple. If you guys have a Fitbit, if you have a smartwatch, pretty simple, right? Like it's going to connect via Bluetooth. The device itself is going to have its own software running, but it's going to use the phone and use the app on that. So it's going to connect via Bluetooth. It's got things in there like an accelerometer. It's got a microphone so you can talk to it. It's got probably a gyrometer in there. It's got all kind of little gadgets that are tracking everything from it says menstrual cycles to sleeping to calories if you input it to whatever. So it's tracking all the things, right? That's going to connect to an app on your phone. That's really going to be doing all the sending to the internet and all that, which we'll take a look at in just a second. But pretty simple setup, nothing too complicated here. I did confirm there was not a Wi-Fi board whenever we cracked it open, so it is strictly Bluetooth, no hidden things there. So this is what it looks like on the inside. This is our own photo, not an FCC photo. But you know, like I said, same components there we looked at. Nothing too crazy on this, but again, just this is how we start looking at the chips and where these things come from, how we start breaking it down. So the chipset's a Realtek. I mean, Realtek is pretty much in everything, Taiwanese company, no real concerns there. There are some vulnerabilities that will be associated with that, but most likely it's not going to be related to this. The firmware is a Puya chip out of Shanghai, also pretty common. I mean, I know you guys are probably like, well, no crap, man, a lot of stuff comes from China. Yep, it is. We're just confirming it here. LCD screen. Try to do some OSINT on this. You get sent to basically 2 different companies, again, making this really difficult. And it could just be because I'm an idiot and I don't speak Chinese, and I don't know, it's hard to search, but anyways, found multiple things related to this company for the LCD screen. So, but Bluetooth manufacturing, Shenzhen, another Chinese company. Confirmed it is running Android. Main takeaway here is nothing too crazy on the hardware side, just some really super cheap components. But when you pay $30 after your 50% discount, you know, what do you expect? Firmware extraction. Yeah, this is all on me. If you look at that, I burnt the crap out of those soldering pads. I'm not going to hide that. Mistakes were made. So we were able to connect to the device and power it on though. We just connected to where the battery soldering pads were. We were able to get it booted up, looked at the Bluetooth. Nothing too crazy from a vulnerability perspective here. We did confirm the chip manufacturers, confirmed all those details when doing Bluetooth analysis and whatnot. So all good there. But yeah, I'm sorry if you were looking for some crazy exploits or vulnerabilities coming out of this. I don't have it. Again, on me. So let's start looking at the software where all the data is actually being collected. Again, the app's going to be on the phone and it's going to be connected to Bluetooth via our watch, and that's going to be logging a lot of stuff. So we're going to analyze an Android app. I get this question all the time when I talk to people about this, about can I do this for iOS? You can, but my goodness, good luck to you. It's very involved to do an iPhone app. So Android's the way to go. It's an easy thing to do, and there's a lot of stuff we can get out of an app and we can pivot on. So what you're going to need, I recommend getting a Linux VM. You just get an APK file. There are a number of sites where you can get an APK to download and get the latest versions of it. The right tools, Mobile Security Framework is your absolute best friend for doing this types of analysis, especially if you're more, not super technical. That is absolutely the way to go. Even if you are super technical, it just gives you a ton of information, a ton of things you want to see right away. We'll look at that in just a second, about an output of that. Again, just in a short amount of time, even a couple of months, there are some AI tools that can help that have reverse engineering capabilities. I've personally never used them. Again, job security for now, but there are some, from what I've heard, that can do some reverse engineering of binaries. I don't know about APK files, but I do know that there are some that can do some reverse engineering. So what are we analyzing? So when we went and looked at all these different watches, there was a bunch of different apps that were associated with these. Big Cloud Pro, GloryFit. GloryFit was associated with a couple of the hardware manufacturers we looked at. DeekFit? I don't actually know that. We're going to go with DeekFit. Yeah, Alabama, forgive me. So that was in the manual, so let's take a look at that real quick. Good. I'm still in presentation mode. Give me 1 second to get out of that. Good grief. Computers are hard. I'm sorry. This is what we're going to do. No? Come on, man. Let's see if I can just move that over. No, I cannot. There we go. Nope, it did not like that. 1 second. I'm not sure if there's something else I was supposed to push up here or not. Let's see if I can go back in the presentation. Okay, well, that, let me go back to presentation. All kinds of Hey, where's my guy? Now I'm not even getting a signal, my goodness. This never happens, right? All right, let's give this a try. Here we go. All right, sorry about that. All right, here's an example report. So this is the main thing to highlight when we're looking at this. So if you're going to do, like I said, you're going to do commercial engineering of apps, super easy to do. Get this in a Docker container, or however you want to install it. Docker is super easy to use. This is something to be aware of, and let's take a look at this. This is DeepFit. This is the main one that was being analyzed. I will make a quick blurb about smartwatches were also targeted for children, so there's no telling what kind of information is being collected on that too, so I will make note of that. So not cool, because we see the security score here, but let's take a look at what's going on here. So again, from an OSINT perspective, there's tons of stuff we can pivot off of. There's some SSL certs we can look at. We can try to find the infrastructure. Let's check out some of these. Let's check out some of the permissions. So background location. Can answer phone calls. Of course, you knew that was going to be a thing, but I mean, you can look at all these different. It'll give you a status of whether or not the permissions should be there or not. So a lot of interesting stuff there. More of the interesting stuff was this, is that they couldn't even bother to encrypt the traffic. You can see that everything is sent in clear text. I mean, this is 2025, that's bonkers to me. Let's see. see what else. Some of the other interesting ones. Yeah, clear text traffic. But here's the main thing I want to bring to your attention, especially from like an OSINT perspective. I know privacy is on a lot of people's minds. Let's see where all that data is going. Okay, yeah. QQQ. QQQ. A lot of Chinese stuff. So, I mean, hey, that could be your privacy at risk, may not. I mean, again, we're in the U.S. We know that government organizations do shady stuff. China has a little bit different geopolitical system than we do, so who knows? But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's leaving, going to a lot of foreign infrastructure. So just something to be aware of. But you can do this for pretty much any app. Super easy to use. Highly recommended if you need some more stuff to try to pivot on if you're investigating an app. So we'll wrap this up real quick. Don't hate me now, PowerPoint. So that was a quick report on doing the reverse engineering of the Android apps. Fun fact, tried to go look at this today to see if it was available. Somehow we went down to 12 ratings and everyone hates it. So I don't know what happened there. Again, what I believe is they took a different model and did that, but anyways, it's bonkers to me about this whole ecosystem and how all this operates. So, I mean, honestly, the points to drive home here is cheap is tempting, but honestly, buyer beware. You get what you pay for. Again, consider your privacy, even your health. Like, don't buy like cheap power banks; they're going to melt and hurt you. Don't do that. Due diligence is important, especially for electronics. Supply chain is a super hot topic. In shameless plug, we do have a supply chain, cyber supply chain class if you're interested. Supply chain's a hot topic. It's not going to go away anytime soon. Everything from geopolitical tensions to shortages, cost volatility. Of course, now we're at a cyber conference, and there's, it makes sense to mention this one for sure about how much reliance we have on digital systems and how those are going to be prone to cyber attacks and how those are going to be in scope for adversaries. And like I said, mobile security framework is a fantastic tool, and certainly appreciate the hard work of people who do open source projects like that to make this more accessible. So, all right, so that's my talk. So appreciate you guys coming.